Hey kids, we've been talking about all the tactics the enemy uses to mess with us this month, but today we're going to give you some tools on how you can protect yourself from the devil. So get ready.
So, how do you fight the devil and all those things that get in the way?
I don't know.
Hide? Never go anywhere?
Isn't there something called God's vest or knee pads or something like that?
You're close, actually. It's called the armor of God.
Well, that's obviously what I meant. So,
What is the armor of God?
And where do we get it? Because I want some of that.
is it possibly at like a Walmart or a Meijer or something? Because that would make it a lot easier.
Not exactly. It's in the Bible, and it isn't actually armor. It's spiritual armor that we imagine ourselves wearing.
Huh?
I just Googled it, and it says in Ephesians 6 to be strong in the Lord by putting on all of God's armor, so we're able to stand firm against all strategies of the devil.
Because remember, kids, we are not fighting against each other, but against evil spirits that we can't see, trying to make us think the wrong things about ourselves and each other.
So, God's armor helps us be strong and stand against the devil?
Well, that's what it says. So, what is the armor exactly, you ask? Good question.
There are 6 pieces of armor.
It says the first is the belt of truth.
Why a belt?
Because it held their sword and pieces of leather which protected the body.
So, without a belt, they would have to hold their sword all the time.
God's belt of truth isn't a real belt. It's like an imaginary one. And it's very important because we can measure every thought we have against it.
For example, when you have thoughts that God doesn't love you or that your life will never be good, the belt of truth lets you know that those thoughts are lies from the enemy.
God says he loves me and he died for me and that he has plans for me. That is the truth.
What's next?
You know, the metal plates or jackets the soldiers used to wear over their chest to protect their vital organs, such as lungs, liver, spleen.
Today, it would be called a bulletproof vest.
Just like that, the bulletproof breastplate of righteousness actually connects to the belt of truth, like the soldier's breastplate attached to their belt. And here it talks about how we live our life.
For example, if we want to protect our hearts and lungs from the enemy, we have to be living in the right way, which means obeying our parents, not gossiping, not cussing, living the right way. Hey, Steph, did you see Kylie wearing that bulletproof vest the other day? Oh my goodness. It was hideous. Am I right? I'm right. I know. Anyway, can you believe that my parents made me clean my room last night? I know, OM goodness. Am I right? Come on.
You know, Gareth, I really can't be a part of this conversation because gossiping and talking about your parents really isn't okay. You guys remember that out there too, okay?
She's right.
And with God, I'm not perfect, but God helps me do the things I need to do, and I'm trying to live right.
Exactly like that. And it also reminds us that we are righteous when we are saved, so Satan can't convince us otherwise.
Next are the shoes of peace.
We all know a soldier isn't going to go out without shoes on. I mean, for real. You never know what you're going to run into on the battlefield. So shoes are really important.
The shoes of peace help us remember that God is with us no matter what. He loves us, and though the road may be difficult sometimes, he will get us through. And they'll help us tell others about Jesus.
So kids, don't forget to wear your shoes of peace. Next up is the shield of faith.
Back when Paul wrote this, the shields soldiers used were huge, and they could hide their entire bodies behind them. So that was a pretty big deal.
What does a shield do?
That's right. Shields stop things from hurting us.
Really, dude? Really? You think I didn't know that?
Satan is always throwing fear, doubt, and worry in our direction. But the only time they can hit us is when we let our shield of faith down.
Basically, it's like when we stop believing God is in control and that he is working and will work everything out for our good.
Next up as you may have guessed it, is the helmet of salvation. It's pretty obvious why Paul talked about a helmet. I mean, we do need to protect our heads. Especially him. Without the helmet of salvation, we are unprotected from the demons that attack our thoughts and feelings.
When we are saved, at least we know that we get to go to heaven no matter what happens around us. Not everyone knows that, and they can really, really get attacked.
Anyway, I feel relaxed. So, now, the last piece of armor is the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, the Bible.
Obviously, like soldiers totally carried swords around to attack the enemy. Like my sword here.
We attack the devil with the word of God.
Say what?
The Word of God is 100%, yes, 100% true and honest. That means what he says about you is 100% true and honest.
So, you know when you start to feel down and doubt God's plan, you say out loud, God has a plan for me. It says so in his word.
So, kids, take up your sword and wear all of your armor. The battle is ours, and the battle is won.
When we read the Bible and say what God says out loud, we are like soldiers using a sword to attack their enemy.